Whether you're a Diablo veteran or a first-timer, Diablo IV mixes up the formula of the age-old game in a huge way, striking a solid balance between a lot of the elements of both D2 and D3. The fourth iteration in the series has a lot going on under the hood, with a fair bit of complexity you might have totally overlooked. In this video today, I want to help you out with preparing for the open beta weekend ahead, or maybe even launch, as this should hopefully be pertinent at that time. I'm going to give you my top tips to help break down the mystique of the UI and other elements of the game so you can get to understanding and thus enjoying the game quicker. You can quickly navigate to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, linked in the description, where I stream Diablo IV and a number of other Warhammer and Warhammer 40k games every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Well, let's get started here on my top tips to help you survive the Diablo IV beta. And to start us off, we're going to go into Lucky Hit. Every single character has this in some way, shape, or form, and you're going to turn it on with some form of passive in one of your ability trees. You can see right here, Lucky Hit, critical strikes have a 5% chance to reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills. It can only happen once every 10 seconds. This is a very crucial thing because the Lucky Hit will evolve depending upon which abilities and skills you choose. If I go up here to keyword search, click this, and find Lucky Hit, select it, close it, and zoom out here, we can find all of our abilities that will apply any bonuses to Lucky Hit. Frost skills have a 3% chance to instantly freeze with Lucky Hit. Another one over here with Precision Magic. Another one right here with Frigid Breeze. Cold damage against vulnerable enemies has a 20% chance to generate 5 mana. This is very crucial because there are also legendaries and other items that will increase your chance to Lucky Hit, or things that will change with Lucky Hit. It's something that is kind of under the hood. The game doesn't really describe it to you, but it is very, very important because you can pull out a lot of passive benefits, buffs, damage, increase the damage, crowd control, whatever it is, depending upon the class you play. So really pay attention to your Lucky Hit ability and which abilities you've got that can buff it. This next tip has to do with the gameplay menu in the options. So go to this portion, you're going to get a lot of really cool things that you can do here. The big one I want you to focus on is Advanced Tooltip Compare and Advanced Tooltip Information. I'll show you what that does. But you have other stuff here like HUD configuration from the center to the left hand. Or you have stuff like the item label displays or skill toggles to make it so that rather than holding down an ability that for a channeling skill, you can toggle it on and toggle it off. There's a lot of stuff in this menu and it might change the way that you enjoy the game. So make sure that you go in here and really change some of these around. Left corner, for example, show you what that does this. Changes the way that the whole HUD's set up. When I go into my inventory, that detailed item description, well, now I can see right here, let's hide the comparison, I can see the intervals for everything. Okay, I got 34 intelligence on this nimble staff of static cling. Well, it's right there at the upper end because it's a 26 to 36. It also shows me whether or not this is an additive or a multiplicative quality. If I press Shift, Advanced Compare shows me which properties I'm going to lose by switching over to this weapon. So these are hidden in the gameplay menu, and they're really helpful for you if you really like a lot of numbers and really want to know the transparency of what you're gaining and losing by switching to weapons, because you can conversely also see all this green text that shows me, oh, okay, well, hey, I'm getting more damage to crowd controlled enemies by 9% with this weapon over the ladder. So definitely make sure you have some of those gameplay options selected for the things that make the most sense for you. Next up is the Alchemist. You find the Alchemist right over here, Broca. You can go up to her, click on her, and you have the ability to increase your healing potions. But you also have these elixirs. Now, elixirs are really good because they give you some bonuses. But on top of these bonuses, they also increase the amount of experience you get for an X amount of time. So this weak elixir is going to increase my attack speed by 7%. That's great for barbarians and rogues, and my experience gain by 5% for 30 minutes. Make sure you are using these elixirs because you're going to come across, look, I've got 213 Gallovine and 131 Biteberry. I ain't hurting for it. So you might as well go ahead and use these as much as you can, especially because we do get a special backpack if you reach level 20 with any of your characters. On top of it, you're going to lose the character anyway at the end of this session, so you might as well have fun. Try out all these elixirs, see which ones really work with your play style, with your characters. The shadow resist ones, maybe not so much, but maybe dodge is going to help you out or increase your armor and thorns. So take advantage of your elixirs. You can also do stuff like craft incense and also refine your resources into, say, Gallovine, into Biteberry, and so on and so forth. So make sure you really take advantage of the Alchemist outside of just simply upgrading your potions. Another quick tip here is on your item slot passives. Now what that means is that every single item slot on your character has some sort of innate passive that will give you a bonus to something, and it's solely based off of that item. For example here, boots give bonuses to movement speed, or to evade, or to dodge in some way, shape, or form. Evade briefly grants 40% movement speed. This one says movement speed is just flat increased. This one gives me attack reduced, evades cooldown by 0.5 seconds. Attacks reduced, sorry. But there's other boots in here like this one. Evade briefly grants, again, another movement speed bonus. So make sure you're looking at these, because stuff like your gloves, I think, help out with your lucky hit chance. And your weapons can give you bonuses to lucky hit chance, but also to damage to crowd control enemies. So make sure you're looking at this stuff to get an idea for if you have the right quote unquote passive for that item selected for the type of playstyle you have in mind. Every single one of these will have something different. I believe chests have a ton more resistance than anything else, but again, don't quote me on that. And again, chests and legs have the most armor of any piece, but that's not necessarily a passive, but still just kind of something to kind of keep in mind when you are looking at all of your items. The social menu, probably one of the newest things added to the game that I thought was just kind of one of those gimmicky social menus, but there's actually a lot of stuff in here. For instance, there's an ability to simply leave the dungeon from the social menu. Otherwise, if you're at the dungeon, you have to press M, go to the front of the dungeon, and then click the little stairs, and you immediately warp out. And you have 3 little kind of cycles of this thing. But let's go ahead and press customize. And furthermore, let's look at some of the things that we can do here. You have a lot of cool stuff, right? Just your emotes. You have your miscellaneous for open chat, leave dungeon, mark for blood, zoom, report a bug, report content, social to invite people to trade, party, inspect. But go to your consumables. That's the big thing I want to show you here. Because we can sit here and bind a consumable like the weak iron barb elixir to the top of the left wheel of the social menu. Further, let's jump back into the options screen and go into controls. We'll go all the way to the bottom here. So the left portion, remember we put it at the top portion of the left circle? We can now create a bind here so that numpad 5 allows me to just quickly use that potion. So using this wheel can actually allow you to have consumables set and a lot of other things that allow you to blitz through the game very easily because you're hitting those consumables or just quickly jumping to the front of a dungeon. Whatever it is, just kind of helps you navigate the game a little bit better. And it's something that took me a long time to discover being actually useful outside of just using the emotes. The map. It is huge in this game, but we have region rewards, and these are pretty sweet. So if you hover over any region, you've got the Fractured Peaks, for example, it shows you all the stuff you've done at the top, your renown, your waypoints that you've gathered, all sorts of things. But if I press W, I get a further breakout here. The waypoints, the strongholds, the side quests, the areas, the side dungeons, the altars, everything. Some things you have to keep in mind here is that this is claimed by each character, unlocks for all characters on a realm, and requires unlocking World Tier 3. So each one of these can only be progressed by doing the prerequisite of renown. So I need, what, 205 more renown in order... 305 more renown in order to actually get this going into this stage. But this is account wide. So if you're working your way through this on one character and you go, man, I really just don't want to do this on another character, don't worry. It's already done on that character for you. So all progression is account wide. You don't have to worry about doing this on one or losing progression on another or saying, oh, well, I should have been doing this on my main character. Whatever it is, don't worry. It is account wide region progress. Aspects are a really big part of the game because it's how you're going to be customizing your weapons that you're building out as you progress. And you'll see that they have these really cool abilities. Some of them are locked behind classes, like this one, for example. After killing an enemy with Shred, your next werewolf skill generates 20% more spirit and deals 20% increased damage. It shows you where to unlock this, or where it was unlocked, and what the region was. So let's jump back here to M. Let's scroll out. So you can see these little blips here. These are the side dungeons. These side dungeons reward you with these aspects that you then can put onto weapons as you see fit, weapons and items. And the weapons and items are bound to whatever that aspect is. You've got defensive, offensive, resource, utility, and mobility. And the allowed items are in this section right here. So offensive, for example, applies to your necklace, your rings, your weapons, and your hands. And conversely, you also have a corresponding icon that will tell you what type of aspect it is. But there's a little bit more to this. So we're going to go back to the map real quick. Look at the main hub here. You can see there's the occultist. If I go up to him, I can apply these from any of the ones that I have already unlocked. But there's another thing that you can do. You can jump over to extract and take any legendary items you've gained and extract that aspect. Whatever that bonus was on that weapon, you can just simply rip it off. And it fills the aspect slot of your inventory where you can then put these on items. Now, these are a one-time use, so be mindful of that. You will lose it. If you use it, you lose it. So it is important to know that because it does cost you money and all those things. And those aspects are a really big part of the game that the game kind of quickly shows you. One thing to also note, if you do rip off an aspect from a legendary item, you do not get the ability to use it for transmog. What I've done to try to kind of get around that is I have reported a bug, left feedback, and for the items, I've requested that we make it so that when you rip off a aspect, it gives us the transmog. So I recommend you do this so hopefully Blizzard can see that and we can get it done. But it is a great way to get items buffed in your inventory with the specific buffs that you want. One of the new event currencies are the Murmuring Obols, and you'll get them every time you complete an event, and you probably think to yourself, I'll stash these until I'm max level and use them. Don't do that. Click Material and Stats here, and then click this little I button. You'll see that you actually have a max of the amount of Obols that you can hold on to. I'm currently at 10 out of 505 because I've just been burning through them like a hood rat. But make sure you use these, because if you don't use them, you hit the cap and you just lose them outright. It's a great way to get you a little bit of a power spike in the game. And you do this by finding a purveyor of curiosities. That is this icon right here, the little satchel with a question mark. There's one in the main town, and there's one in this town over here, I think. Yeah, there's one in that town right there. You can see in the services section. But you click on them and just kind of gamble and any of the items you need. The way I kind of did it was I just gambled one item until I got a legendary for it, then just moved to the next. That's how I have a legendary chest, arms, legs, boots, and helmet was exactly from this guy. I just went ahead and did it. And it's the easiest and best way to get access to legendaries. And you should just spend them. It's a great way, like I said, to give you initial power spike as you're pulling through the game. You do have plenty of chances to increase this through certain things like your region rewards and other stuff. But until then, just go ahead and spend them. Now, it wouldn't be a Diablo game if you didn't have skills, and skill management is a huge part of the game. If I go ahead and press A, I've got my skill tree that I can kind of manage my way through, and it's nice and easy, but the first time you play, you're kind of like, well, how do I get the skills over here? Well, okay, well, press this button. Okay, well, that's kind of funky, and I drag and drop them into this. I don't select them like I do in 2, or maybe I don't put runes in them like I do with 3. It's all kind of a little convoluted. Now, if I go ahead and press A, it brings this up on the keyboard. I don't know what it does or console. But if I go ahead and press this button, I can see everything in a little bit easier of a format. Kind of like I'm playing Path of Exile, even though that wasn't made by the same company, just the former execs, but that's neither here nor there. So taking a look at this, I can also press this button and I have all of my skills in one easy place to manage. This makes it a lot easier just to kind of drag and drop things in certain locations. Hey, you know what? I want Meteor over here now. So it's really easy to manage your skills once you see it all in this screen together. Now, furthermore, you also have the keyword search. I know I talked about this a little bit ago, but I want to kind of show you how this keyword search can really layer into things to help you make a build for your character, for example. So let's say you want to make a really good lightning build for your sorcerer. Well, there's this really cool mechanic called crackling energy. So we're going to go ahead and click this. And now I can see all 9 of the abilities that take advantage of crackling energy in some way, shape, or form. Cool, this is going to allow me to have crackling energy. This is going to give me damage bonuses from, or crit strike bonuses from having crackling energy, so on and so forth. So make sure you are taking advantage of these, because you can further go into this. You can layer these keyword searches. Well, let's look at crackling energy and critical strikes in specific. Okay, well, there's only 2. It's this one right here, and maybe the other one's towards the bottom. Yeah, and this one right here. So use these to your advantage. Don't sit there and feel like you just kind of have to stumble your way through it. And refund this stuff as often as you can. Refunding it costs damn near nothing. Or you can refund the individual ability by just right-clicking. That's 55 gold. Now that might change come the actual launch of the game. But for now, I've refunded this stuff so many times and tried different builds. All fire, hybrid fire and ice, all lightning. Just try and experiment with things as much as you can during this period and use this keyword search to the best of your ability. We switched characters here to talk a little bit about stats. Because if skills are the most important thing of your character, stats are the thing that also add an additional layer into them. Those that are maybe coming from Diablo 2, where stats are the same for every single character, are going to see that in Diablo 4 it's much different. So let's take a look here at the Barbarian. Strength is going to increase skill damage and armor. Intelligence is going to increase resistance. Willpower is going to increase resource generation, healing received, and overpower damage. And then dexterity is going to increase crit strike and dodge chance. Now what you'll find is every single one of these attributes will increase the same one thing or 2 things. Strength, for example, will increase armor on all of the characters. But for the Barbarian in specific, it will increase skill damage. Intelligence, again, will increase resistance to all elements on all characters. But if I'm playing on the Sorcerer, it increases my skill damage. So make sure you take advantage of this. If I go ahead and swap these characters while I'm talking here, because you want to make sure that you are focusing on the right attribute for the right character, because this way you take advantage of that stat that's giving you the bonus. You're not using strength solely to apply armor on like you did in D2. You're not using your constitution to give you health. It's not constitution, but I'm just vitality. Intelligence here now gives me skill damage. Willpower has the exact same thing that it did for Barbarian. Resource generation, healing, and overpower damage. So you just really want to make sure you take a look at your stats, see which ones are actually going to benefit you for the main character you have in mind, so that again, really leans into your playstyle. At that, it brings our video here to a close. So hopefully this gave you a better context of a lot of things in the game, or maybe you've already played the early access open beta and this was stuff you didn't even know about. But I think that now that you've seen this, jumping into the open beta come this next weekend or the game when it goes live, I hope all this stuff stays pertinent, this will at least give you a little bit of a leg up in understanding how things interact with each other and give you an idea of how to quickly navigate about the game easily and maybe have a trouble speaking like I just clearly did for the last 14 seconds. I had a stroke on camera here. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here. Don't forget to comment, like, and or subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and do check me out on Twitch for more live streams. As always, have a good one and take care.